Hi guys, today I'm going to be making a video on a video. I'm going to be elaborating on the video a friend of mine sent to me, right? It's a video on phantom fails, 5 rookie mistakes and what I learned from it. It's a video by Joshua, right? So a friend of mine sent it to me. She just wanted to know what my opinions are and what I think about the video, right? So what the video actually is just Joshua, which is the owner of this video. He's just trying to explain the lesson he learned from the 5 crashes he had with his Phantom, which I think are great points he made, right? But I just think some of them can be expanded more. There are more you could do, which I think he did not touch. I don't know, maybe out of he was in a rush or he had no idea or whatever. Remember, it's his experience he had, so we are working from what he just said. Anyway.
This first crash takes place in Juneau, Alaska. The reason I crashed is because I think I waited too long to land it and I descended too quickly. So when your Phantom's running out of battery and you are descending from a height very quickly, if it has a low battery, it's going to take more time, more power for it to kind of stop itself. So I was descending very quickly and I reversed thrusters so I wouldn't slam into the ground, but just didn't have the juice, so it ended up skipping across the parking lot. So lesson 1 is watch your battery power and descend gently.
Okay, from his first lesson, from his first point or from his first crash, and there was something he said which is completely correct. You can never, if you own a Phantom, if you're going to fly a Phantom, you're going to crash a Phantom. So those two things are, you can never avoid them. You're going to crash a Phantom, you're going to fly a Phantom. So just have that in mind first, okay? So what's this whole lesson is all about? Is how would you reduce your crashes, as much as possible you can, the things you can avoid and the things you can, the things you can avoid, let's just try and avoid it. And the things you cannot avoid, you just, take it in good faith. Anyway, so from his first point, he said, he crashed it while he was landing the Phantom. The Phantom ran out of battery, so he thought he descended quickly, too quickly, and the Phantom just, I don't know, drift away. There's one thing. First of all, what I believe you should do in this case, just to avoid something like this, before you fly your Phantom, make sure you register a home point. Right? Make sure you register a home point with your GPS turned on. So if you register a home point with GPS turned on, if your power is going to go off, if you're running out of battery on your Phantom, what your Phantom does is just immediately it triggers the home point, and the Phantom, glides back to that position where it takes off from. So in this case, if you're running out of battery, I don't think you should panic, right? I don't think you need to panic. Don't panic. Just make sure you keep your Phantom in a safe environment, flying zone where whatever happens, the Phantom can ascend and descend descend at the own point. So in this case, I don't think you need to panic, because if you panic, you might just do something stupid. So what I will advise you guys is when you're running out of battery, just relax, don't panic. Just either you keep doing what you're doing and let the Phantom trigger its emergency state and return to his own point. That's something you should do. And when it's flying back to his own point, I don't think you don't actually need to do anything. You just need to relax and let the Phantom come back to you, and that's simple. Okay, but if you want to bring it back to your home point, you can as well bring it back without panicking. Try not to panic. Nothing is going to happen. Okay. Nothing is going to happen as long as you register your home point before flying. Those are the things you have to do before flying. Okay, so that's the lesson 1. And remember, register your Phantom, your home point before flying. So when you're losing power on your in your Phantom, don't panic. Your Phantom is going to come back. It's going to glide back to the home point.
Crash number 2 is also in Alaska. It's on Douglas Island, and what happened here is I was shooting in a forest and there was lots of obstacles, lots of branches. It was a pretty squirrely place to try to fly the Phantom, but I was trying to get some great footage of these old mining ruins, and I ascended into a bunch of branches, so I wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing enough, and I rose the Phantom into this tangle of branches, so you can see the result here. Lesson 2, don't crash into branches. check what's above you as well as what's in front of you and side to side. You got to be aware. So lesson 2, just be aware.
Okay, lesson number 2. He said he was flying in the forest where there was a lot of trees out there. Okay, that's great. You know, in cases like that, the chances of you crashing your Phantom are very high. You know, when you fly in branches. You know, sorry, forest, because there's a lot of trees out there. So you know, we get tempted a lot to get this great footage with Phantom because it says kind of there's no limit to what you can do, but that's not true. There's always a limit to what you can do. So when you're flying in an environment like that with a lot of obstacle like the forest or like the wood, you know, remember there are cautions you have to make. Remember, always make sure you have your flying guard. You know, your guard. You know, what are these? You know, I can see he has them on his Phantom as well. You know, which is that, you know, something just fit in there. It just kind of, it helps. You know, it's not the solution, but it helps. You know, it helps in the form when you get close to trees, and instead of the blade catching the branches of a tree, sometimes it will just, you know, knock it off, knock it away. I'm not trying to say it's not going to happen. It will happen if it's going to happen, but this sometimes it helps. You know, it helps in a situation where it should help. It will help you, but in a situation where it cannot help you, it cannot help you. So what you need to do when you're flying in a forest where you have a lot of obstacles like trees or you know, houses, branches, whatever. Pay attention, you know, be aware of what you're doing. Try to stay focused, which he said it. You know, Joshua said it, which I think is correct. Just be aware of your environment. Stay focused. Don't panic, right? If you don't panic, you're always going to fly. You're always going to be safe. And remember, always have your blade guard. Your blade guard really helps a lot. It really helps a lot. Stay focused, like he said. Have your blade guards on. Make sure you concentrate on what you're doing. Don't get overexcited and don't panic. If you don't panic, you'll be fine. And there's something else as well. Again, always make sure you have your CL turned on. You really need to understand that this Phantom remote has got a lot of not a lot of button, like a lot of function, like your CL and the HL, which is cross lock and home lock. You really need to understand how that works. If you understand how that works as well, you're not going to have a lot of problems. Because
crash number 3. Now this takes place in Bellingham, Washington. I was filming the grain harvest of this barley field, and I crashed because I was coming in for the landing way too fast, and at an angle. You can see from the shadow that the Phantom's pitched downward at this diagonal angle. Here I am landing, and it just like obliterates itself into the dust, which actually looks kind of cool, but probably isn't very good for the machinery. Lesson number 3. You need to land straight down. You need to descend straight down. Do not try to land when you're coming in at an angle when you have forward momentum. It's not gonna work.
Lesson number 3. Yeah, he said he crashed it while he was trying to land. You know, he was trying to land coming at an angle, which is correct. I think he's completely correct in that sense. You don't do that because first of all, Phantom has got no brakes. There's no way you can brake your Phantom. It hasn't got an automatic brakes like, you know, like a UBS brake in your car. No. So how do you brake your Phantom? You know, you just you change your direction in the sense that you push the opposite direction where you're flying to. If you're flying forward, you push backward. You know, push the Phantom backward. So in that sense, it slows down the Phantom so you can land or do whatever you want, take all the decisions. So like he said, don't land when you're coming. You know, when you're coming from an angle, you don't do that. You try to land horizontally, you know, bringing it down. In that sense, you avoid such crash. And I saw there's something. I'm not sure if that's a sand or whatever. I can notice that, but try not to land on the sand, or try not to take off on the sand, because it's not very advisable. Because, you know, once a lot of you know, sand gets into your Phantom or into your gimbal, and that could be a lot of problems. So try not to take off from a sand or land on the sand. Try to avoid that. You know, you might get away doing that a few times, but when it happens, you're just not going to be, you know, you're not going to be happy with it. And then from his lesson 2, try not to land from an angle which is correct. Try to land horizontally, vertically. that's completely correct.
Crash number 4 comes to us on the Caribbean island of Curacao, and I believe what happened here was a combination of, one, descending too quickly with not enough battery power, but also the wind here was really strong. I was filming right on the beach on the ocean, and the breeze, the gusts of wind coming out the ocean were making it really hard to fly and capture footage, but I was trying to descend quickly because my Phantom was being pushed around. So lesson 4 for this would be, don't fly in high wind, but it's kind of hard to avoid, so you really need to be gentle when you're flying in the wind and make sure you have enough battery power to descend, descend gently and do your thing. But flying in wind is really squirrely and can lead to a crash.
Well, he said he was flying in a windy day, and he was struggling with the wind, and he descended quickly because he was running out of batteries as well. Well, yeah. It's something you can actually not avoid. When it's very windy, your Phantom actually struggles a lot. You see the wind tosses your Phantom around, all right? So that's a very difficult situation to film in or to fly in. So if you can avoid flying in windy day, it will be the best solution for that. But sometimes you cannot avoid that. You just want to get your footage quickly. And what you need to do in a situation like that is try to keep your Phantom in a steady position, in a steady height. If you're gonna fly about, let's say, about 100 feet from where you are, try to keep your Phantom in that 100 feet, right? Because if you try to move the Phantom from that side every time, it struggles, right? Because the Phantom can actually stand a steady wind. In the sense, what I'm trying to say is that if it's in a particular height, just try to maintain it on that height, all right? If you're trying to go up or down, or sideways or whatever, that's where your Phantom will struggle very hard. So if you have to film on a windy day, try to maintain a certain height and stay there, right? And remember, don't panic. Always take this caution before you take your Phantom off. Register your home points. Get your course lock. Get the knowledge of your course lock, how it works, and turn it on before you when you're in a situation like this. Turn it on because you need a sense of direction to control your Phantom. And when you're running out of power, don't panic. If you do these 3 things, register your home point, and your course lock is turned on, you're not going to have any problem if you run out of batteries. Your Phantom is just going to land in that particular home point you registered. So there's no point trying to descend your Phantom quickly so it doesn't crash. It's not going to crash. You only crash it when you're trying to descend it quickly because you're scared that you're running out of batteries. Don't panic. If you run out of batteries, your Phantom is going to trigger a home point, and it's going to return from where you took off from. Okay, so that's the thing. I think you guys should do in such situation. If you're try not to fly on a windy day if you don't have but try not to fly on a windy day. But if you have to fly on a windy day, try to maintain a certain height. Just stay there. Just do what you need to do quickly. And when you want to land, don't panic. And if you're running out of power, don't panic as well. Just make sure you do these 3 things. Make sure your course lock is turned on, and make sure you register your home point before you fly. So you're just gonna be fine. Okay, let's see the 5th one now, which is I think should be the last one for.
Crash number 5 in this epic video of my 5 most epic crashes. This happened last week at the Venice Beach skate park. I'm filming the skateboarders, I'm having a great time, and there's this row of palm trees behind me. And you can see here that I rotate the Phantom and I just lose control of it because, when you're rotating this thing around, sometimes what was now forward is now left, and your spatial relations get all wonky. Everything flipped, and my mind didn't catch up fast enough, so the Phantom rose, and I basically just made a mistake with the controller, and I slammed this thing right into the palm tree. And what you'll see is that it actually doesn't crash. It flips 2 times. It happens really quickly. It turns over 2 complete times in the air. I'm watching this. I'm freaking out.
Holy shit.
Okay, so the 5th and final lesson is A, don't fly close to palm trees, and B, practice your inverted flying, your inverted controls, so that way if you rotate, you don't lose control and you can remain in control of the Phantom, unlike me.
He was flying in Venice Beach and he crashed. He was trying to rotate his Phantom and he crashed on one of the palm trees, so he lost sense of direction. Okay, this is what I was trying to say. So in such situation, you should understand how your cross lock works. If you understand how your crosswalk works and you turn it on, you will never find yourself in such situation. Remember, guys, there's a reason why all these buttons are here. There's a reason why DJI made these buttons. You know, they invented this button for such situation. So you can always check all my other videos on your crosslock, home lock, your off, your GPS, your ATTI, the double ATTI. You can always check my other videos and you get the sense of the functionalities of this button. So in this, let's just stick to this one now. In this situation, that he lost sense of direction, if he had his crosslock turned on, I don't think he will have such a problem. You know, no matter what direction the Phantom is facing, the Phantom will still respond to the direction he registered on crosslock. The forward will still be the forward, the backward will still be the backward, the left will still remain the left, the right will still remain the right, no matter what position the Phantom is facing. No matter how the Phantom flips, the assigned direction will still be what this the Phantom will respond to. So if you crash in that particular moment in time, or you crash in any moment in time, just remember your forward is still your forward, no matter what position the Phantom is facing, right? So in that situation, your sense of direction, you will always keep your sense of direction. You never lose your sense of direction when you crash and your Phantom flipped or whatever. So in Joshua's situation, so if he had turned his crosslock on, I don't think he will have such a problem. And always remember, guys, always remember, because I can see he landed his Phantom on the sand. Try to avoid landing your Phantom or taking off on the sand. It's not a very advisable idea, because it could get away with it first and second, third time, but when you get some sand, get into your Phantom, that'll be a lot of problem. And I know how annoying it is. You know, you have a beautiful day, you cannot fly because your Phantom is sitting there because it's sick out or something, but you cannot fly. Because I know how that, how that feels. So guys, I'm trying to avoid all this situation by not flying on the or taking off on the sand or landing on the sand, because I know you can fly on the beach, but you know there are other ways to take off and land, like your Phantom case. You know, it has a very big top where you can put your Phantom on and fly, so it just takes off without taking off on the sand. Okay, so anyway, guys, I hope these videos have been helpful. Thank you, Joshua, for bringing that for this 5 points you made, because it's always very nice when people bring lovely day. Like I said, it's Sunday today, the weather is great. I just need to go fly this thing and see what's going on. Anyway, guys, remember, like my video, join my channel, leave me a comment, leave me a question, leave me a suggestion, whatever it is, and I'll try to do this in Spanish as well, guys, and because I have my Spanish friends as well, and Spanish followers who would like to get to know, because I like to do most of my video, I like to do them in English and Spanish, and my Spanish is not the best, but I try as much as I can. Okay, and anyway, take care, guys. Adios.